What's the foundation of growth for yourself? Is it to learn more skills? What's the foundation of growth for a company or a community? Hi, this is Cynthia, your voice coach. In this video, you are not going to learn about voice, but growth from a fresh perspective. Early this year, I met a friend, Mary Cyphers, in San Francisco in an event. Mary struck me as someone who is full of love, warmth, and care. When I learned about what she does, I was not surprised. I'd love to introduce Mary to you so that you can turbocharge your growth for yourself, your business, your company, or your community. So I did an interview with Mary. You don't need to be religious. I am not, but I've learned so much from Mary, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Here you go. Hi everyone, this is Cynthia, and today I am with my great friend, Mary, and she will let you know a bit more about what she does. And the reason I am inviting Mary to this interview is because I really believe in what she does. And I hope you can benefit from what she does as well. And she has a great event coming up as well. And she'll tell you more about it. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Very good. So I'm so glad that you're here. Could you tell
I'm really glad to be
here. Yeah. So can you tell me, tell my viewers more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Mary Cyphers, and I live in Southern California in Laguna Beach. And I work as a growth consultant, primarily with churches and church leaders who are trying to grow and develop a stronger community and reach more people to have a bigger impact on the world. And my focus in recent years has been helping them to grow as communities of love, to really focus on growing their loving impact in the world and reaching out. I was trained as a pastor and served as a pastor and a preacher and a public speaker in churches for many, many years before I moved into the world of consulting and motivational speaking, which is where I spend all of my time and energy now. And I love doing what I do, and I love helping people. But I love even more that when I can help churches and church leaders, I can reach even more people than when I was just pastoring one church at a time. So it's a very wonderful and fulfilling way to live my life and make my own big impact to help the world be a more loving place.
Yeah, so that's what I love about what you do. So yeah, tell us more about when you were a pastor. What is your greatest success and your greatest failure?
And it's funny, they came back to back. My greatest success was definitely turning a church around into a growing community of love. And it was a brand new church start. So sometimes churches start brand new, like somebody will say, there's a neighborhood where there's no church. So they had planted a church before I got there. The church had grown to about 300, and then they'd had a big church argument between the pastor and the worship leader, and 200 people had left the church. So I went to this 100-member church, and we worked together to make it a stronger community and to help them learn how to have all the right tools and techniques. And I thought it was going to be all about tools and techniques, but instead I discovered it was about love. And it was whenever one of them actually donated a kidney to another person in the church, and they all realized these two men were sharing life, literally, everyone quit fighting and everyone re-engaged in this incredibly profound way. And the church just came together and started growing by leaps and bounds. And the church grew to a 500-member church, got their building built, decided to share their building with a local synagogue that needed a building. So now it's a Jewish and Christian congregation. And to this day, that was 20 years ago. They're thriving, they're growing strong because they're built on this incredibly strong foundation of love.
Yeah.
So that's by far my greatest success. So I went to my very next church thinking, cool, I got this figured out. But what I hadn't realized was it was that foundation of love I thought it was about the tools and the techniques and the great worship services and my great public speaking and all that kind of thing. I went to my next church, brought all those things, and forgot to focus on relationships, and it completely torpedoed.
Mm.
And it fell apart. They didn't relate well together. I wasn't relating well with them. And that church is closing in January.
Wow.
And I feel, again, that was 15 years ago, but I feel like I played a bad, I played a bad part in their journey.
Mm.
And I could have helped them if I had recognized then what I know now, that, the foundation of love is actually the answer. Whether you're growing a church or growing a business or growing a family, you can read all the books and do all the right things. But if they're not founded on this relational strength of love, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
I learned that the hard way. And
Yeah.
now I really understood why I had that great success early on. I just done it instinctively, and they had done it instinctively. But now I know to really focus on relationships first.
Yes. Yeah. So I suppose that's your one of the biggest learning.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of churches, they think that getting a charismatic pastor and dynamic preacher can single-handedly lead to church growth. So as a pastor and worship consultant, I suppose that one of the things you were sharing was love. And
Yes.
so what has been your experience in terms of getting kind of, besides love, what else is there that can help the church grow?
Well, there's some very specific things that can help the church grow. And one of the first things is to really be focused on what the important priorities are. A lot of churches, they don't just lose sight of love, they lose sight of their purpose.
Mm.
And they get busy just doing a lot of good deeds or trying to do the right things or admiring an amazing pastor, or the pastor gets busy trying to preach the perfect sermon. And those aren't what grow a church. What grows a church is having a purpose in the world and following that purpose with single-minded focus and passion. The purpose for a church, of course, is going to grow out of love. But when they figure out what that loving purpose is and focus on it, then they grow. I mean, the purpose can be different as long as it's built on a foundation of love.
Mm.
I know a church in the Midwest that's grown to 10,000 members, and its focus is that they serve as the hands and feet of Jesus, trying to help the poorest of the poor make the world a better place. That's all they do. And they're focused on that more than on Bible study they have great preaching, but that's not their focus, because even their preaching is to get people out there caring for the poorest of the poor and opening food banks and going to places that have had a disaster and getting buildings built and temporary hospitals up and running. And that's all they do. And that's the thing they're proudest of. I know another church in Los Angeles whose entire focus is on study and spiritual growth so that people can get in touch with the divine light within them. And they don't do a lot of social justice and caring for the poorest of the poor, but they are so in love with people and helping people grow spiritually that church is like 5,000 members strong. And they have grown strong by helping people become the most godly that they possibly can, deeply related to God, deeply loving in their individual lives. And then all these individuals are out doing incredible loving things in the world because of the church's clear focus on this is how we're going to teach people to love and how we're going to teach people to live their love on an individual basis. Two churches with very different purposes, but equally strong and equally growth-filled because they're so focused. And then that unifies people. So people can be one community because they have unity of purpose.
Yeah. So I love this, which is love, purpose. Yeah. And so you are hosting an event this October. The name is Growing Communities of Love, where people would be able to learn the growth through love. So how did that come about? And what difference do you hope that conference will make?
Well, it came about because I go to so many conferences and I teach at so many conferences that are very focused on the how to. Here's tool 1, 2, and 3. Here's technique 5, 6, and 7. Now go home and make those happen. And I realized some people can go home and use those tools and have no transformation whatsoever. And other people aren't using any of those tools and are making these incredible transformations. And nobody's really talking about why is that?
Mm.
And, John Doe down the street can preach a great sermon, and Jane Smith on the street a block away can preach an equally great sermon, and John's church is growing and Jane's church is falling apart. What's the difference? And I realized people need to say, well, what's happening at John's church is they're loving each other well. They're loving their community well. And there are ways to learn how to do that better. Jane's church wants to love people. They think they're loving people, but they're not. They don't understand. They're working really hard and she's preaching great sermons, but it's not making an impact. And so I realized sometimes people don't realize that there is a way of loving well. And so I wanted to develop an event that would, one, name this truth, that love is truly the foundation of church growth. I think it's the foundation of any human growth. And two, there are ways to help us deepen our ability to love. And so day one, the event's going to be at the Disneyland Embassy Suites from October 23 through 25. So 3 full days. And it's much more than an event, Cynthia. It's going to be an experience of creating a community of love right there at the event and learning how to be loving with people we've never met. I'm expecting, 250, 300 people all gathered together, most of whom will not know each other. And somehow together, through all of these deep listening techniques, these conflict transformation techniques, these loving techniques that we're going to work through together, we're going to develop a community of love there so that we have learned some skills to go home and be better listeners and lovers of one another at home. So day one's going to be all about deep listening, really learning how to hear people. So every person feels heard and seen and respected. And day 2 is going to be all about the transformation of conflict into collaboration, because conflict is just a problem. It's just a problem. It's not a bad problem. It's neutral, right? Conflict is that I've got a green light and you've got a red light. Well, we have a rule for that and it's easy. I wait until I have a green light. You wait until you have a green light. We never have a car accident. Well, the same thing is in human relationships. When we learn how to handle, we're at the intersection at the same time. How do we move forward without crashing into each other? So that's all day on Wednesday so that we can really create healthy teams that work together and have fun working together. And then Thursday is how do we transform that into going forth to grow love. And Thursday is all about saying yes to growing love. And it means we have to say no to a lot of other things that aren't the highest priority. So I'm really excited about how much interaction time and the great tools that we have to share and the team that's putting this together. It's going to be awesome. And I think you should come.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could teleport you from Singapore, I would. That's it.
Yeah, and also I think these skills are not just for church growth. The listening skills, the conflict resolution skills, those are so important to any relationship we have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had people come away from these workshops saying, I'm going to use this in my family, or I can use this in my business. I have a parishioner who has completely reformed his tech company. He runs a tech company. He's the owner and the manager and the CEO. And he's completely reformed that company over the last year just to be relationally based. They're still inventing great software. They're still making a huge difference in telecommunications, but they're doing so from a relational basis that has completely transformed his company. And it's beautiful to see. He's growing his own community of love with a bunch of IT kids, and they are having so much fun at work. It's improved employee retention, and of course it's improved their creativity because they come to work energized and glad to be together because the relationships are strong.
Yeah, so I would say that who would like to come to those conferences besides church leaders, there are so many other people, they will benefit from this conference as well. So what do you think, besides church leaders, who else would benefit?
I think anybody who's wanting to grow an organization or a family or a business or a school on a strong foundation of good relationships.
Yes.
The irony is I usually use Starbucks as an example. Starbucks is singularly focused on that they want to give a great cup of coffee, but
Mm.
they do it so relationally based. You know, their employees are taught to get to know your name. If you're a regular, your name is on on a cup. They don't know me because I don't go that often, but when I go, my name always gets put on the cup. They call me by name. Every single drink is personalized. People are encouraged to talk to each other by the way the seats are arranged. Everything's relationally based. Any
Mm.
business that wants to do that, any person that wants to do that, whether it's their office, their school, their home, I can help them do that with these great skills. And of course, if they're involved in church, they also can be taking those skills to their church or inviting their pastor. One person might be coming because he or she wants to do their business differently, and they might be sitting next to their pastor who wants to do the church differently. So I'm really hoping people will bring full teams. Like if you're coming because you want to bring your office, I would say bring all 4 of your staff members, right? Because you want the whole team to start learn these new relationship skills together and then take them back and transform the entire community.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. So I would actually recommend that as well. Bring your team, because if you are going to grow a group or community or company of love just by yourself, you cannot grow that.
That's right. It takes 2, 3 more.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really in a lot of organizations, even in churches, oddly enough, this has got to be a culture shift.
Mm.
If the whole culture has been about tools and techniques and how-tos or perfect performance or a specific work day or a certain productivity schedule, then this is transformational, and it takes a team to transform the culture of a church, a company, of a family. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing lots of teams gathered together at this event, focused on the whole idea of we together can grow a community of love wherever we're planted, whatever we're doing. And ultimately, I think that's what it takes to make this world the place that it's meant to be.
Mm. Yes. Yeah. And so I know, because I have been kind of connecting with you, but how about those who have not been connecting or who has never heard of that growth comes from love? They may say, oh, it sounds quaint, something quaint, but unrealistic to grow or make any change in our life or in our world. What's your view on that?
Well, my view on that is that love is the most powerful energy in the world. And if you think about it, if you've ever been in love or had a crush on someone that felt like love, you know that rush of energy you get, especially if you're 13 or 14 years old. That rush of energy is just a sliver of what the deep love of community is. And so as we mature, that deep love of community is it's the life force of the universe. And I think when we tap into it, we discover a whole power. So that, let's say that your job is to create computers, and that's what your job is. Okay, why do I need love to create computers? Well, you need creativity to create computers. You need energy if you're trying to do something new in programming, invent something that hasn't already been done a million times. Well, that creative energy grows out of the life force of love. And if you're the only one in your place who's thinking about love, that life force is getting drained out of you. But if everyone is working with that life force, then all of a sudden everyone at your computer building company is working with that creative energy that love provides. The other thing is that when you stop the flow of love, it creates a lot of team drainage, simply because we're working together. Even if I run my own business, I'm a sole entrepreneur, I'm alone a lot of times, but I count on my administrative assistant to do a lot of tasks for me. And if she and I don't have a strong relationship, the tasks she does for me aren't going to have the same kind of energy. She might be begrudging. She might not show up for work on time. She may not make deadlines. But when we have a lot of good relational health, she'll work extra hard for me. And I'll work extra hard to care for her because we have a strong relationship. My whole team functions most effectively, as does any team, when we have good relationship skills. This isn't love like on a Hallmark card.
Mm.
This is that deep, difficult kind of love, the kind of love where you listen deeply to people. you forgive even really frustrating things from people, hurtful things.
Mm.
You are willing to say, okay, we're going to transform this conflict. Even though you made me so angry yesterday, I wish you would quit. I wish you would leave my company. It's like, no, we're going to transform this into, even though I'm this angry with you, I know that together we both have value to add to this church, this family, this company. We don't want to get divorced. We want to transform the conflict into collaboration. And learning those skills, it can transform any organization. And I think a lot of people quit jobs. I think a lot of people leave churches. I think a lot of businesses fall apart and a lot of churches fall apart because they don't tend to these deep relationship skills. And when we tend to those, we prevent a lot of problems down the road, and we create all this great energy and synergy for creating amazing new things. So it's a both and. It's both a preventive tool and a creative tool.
Yeah, and also I think, there are books or, a lot of books that are saying love is the answer, or it's all the foundation is love. So from your sharing, I can really see that. And also nowadays, because especially young people, they actually leave companies, they're not staying in companies very long. I think if they have love in that relationship, that situation might be able to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a young friend. Yeah, she's in her early 30s. She works for a fashion company, and she really hates her job, but she loves her boss. And I think she will stay in that job as long, because her boss has been a great mentor to her. She's given her good promotions. She's given her bonuses whenever she can. And the fashion industry is a horrible industry. It's so dog eat dog. It's cruel to its employees. And I see why she doesn't like her work, but she loves her boss. And so she stays because she says, and she's one of the few millennials I know. And she said, I think I'm the only one of my friends who's been at my company for 7 years or longer. 7 years. And she's 32 years old.
Yeah.
And it's because she loves her boss and her boss loves her. And wow, what a benefit she is to her boss, because her boss really, their sales have increased, the company's bigger, the boss has had lots of promotions and bonuses because she's had this steadfast right-hand person doing all the sales analytics and basically building the sales analysis protocol for 7 years. And it's all about relationships that has kept that one millennial in a workplace when most millennials have moved to 4 or 5 jobs in that time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, dear viewers, not sure about you, but just by listening to Mary, I feel so inspired. And I wish I could make it for that if I was in LA. Yeah, so we will be posting the link below this video. And also I will post the link here so that you can check it out. If you are even if you're not in Los Angeles area, even if you're in California, anywhere near Los Angeles, this is an event that you don't want to miss. And from the sharing that Mary just did, I can see that you will not only just learn the techniques, but also you will be transformed. Because every contact that I have with Mary, I can feel her warmth, I can feel her love. So that's where you are going to not just learn, but experience love and bring love back into your family, your church, and your community and your company. So any final words for the viewers, Mary?
Well, I want to just mostly say thank you to you, Cynthia. You are so full of love and the way you help people find their voice. And I can't wait to introduce you to a lot of my preacher friends who need your loving strength and your wisdom to help them find their voice. So I want to thank you for giving me this time. And to all the viewers who are watching, come. It's at Disneyland. You can come early, stay late, bring your family, have a great, wonderful vacation. We'll have discount tickets to Disneyland, the whole bit. But mostly come because you want to grow a community of love. And you need help doing that. And I can give you that help. This event can give you that help. We want to see your entire team there. And let's grow the communities of love everywhere, all over planet Earth, so that this world can become the place that it is meant to become.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and also there is an early bird for the event as well. And you would also, you will see that you are going to learn so much in these 3 days. And the ticket is very affordable. So we will be posting the details under this video. And so really check it out and grow love in your family, in your life, in your community, in your churches, and in your companies. So this is Cynthia, and I invite you to the event that Mary will be hosting. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Mary.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Yes, bye, Mary.